Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at the absolutely mind-bending story of a civilization that literally had it all, lost almost everything, and is now roaring back onto the global stage. We're talking about a massive story of wealth, absolute devastation, and just sheer, undeniable resilience. So let's dive deep into the history and the modern reality of India.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Think about the number 0. I mean, it seems incredibly simple, right? Just a circle? But this country literally invented it. And when you think about it, without this single fundamental digit, your phone doesn't work, your bank account doesn't exist, and the entire internet basically collapses. It's the literal foundation of modern math.
To really grasp the sheer scale of this journey, you've got to consider this insane juxtaposition. For most of recorded history, India produced nearly a quarter of the entire world's wealth. Yet, after losing almost all of it, just look at what they're pulling off today. Their modern space program recently landed a spacecraft on the moon's south pole for literally less money than it cost Hollywood to make the sci-fi movie Interstellar. I mean, that is absolutely insane when you really think about it.
So, moving into section 1. A planet in one country. Because honestly, calling India just a country almost feels like a massive understatement. The geographical extremes here are just staggering. Up in the north, you've got the highest mountain range on Earth, the Himalayas. Head over to the west, and you hit a desert where temperatures absolutely bake at 50 degrees Celsius. Go northeast, you're suddenly standing in dense tropical rainforests. There are mangrove jungles so thick they literally hide Bengal tigers. And the whole thing is wrapped in a massive 7,500 kilometers of coastline.
And, this extreme physical diversity translates directly into human culture. It's like if you walk 500 kilometers in literally any direction, everything changes. The language, the food, the clothing, the music, the religion, the whole shebang just completely transforms. It truly is an entire compressed planet crammed into one place, making it easily the most diverse spot on Earth.
All right, section 2, the trillion-dollar heist. We really need to look at their foundational greatness first to fully understand the sheer scale of the economic extraction that followed.
The historical timeline here genuinely breaks people's brains. 4,500 years ago, while a lot of Europe was still living in mud huts, the ancient Indian city of Mohenjo-daro already had indoor plumbing, complex sewage systems, and grid-planned streets. Jump forward to 500 BC, and you've got the almost simultaneous birth of major philosophies like Buddhism, Jainism, and the Upanishads, asking deep questions about consciousness that scientists are still studying today. And by 250 BC, Emperor Ashoka was building hospitals not just for humans, but, incredibly, for animals too. No way, right?
But their innovation went way beyond just philosophy. Like we talked about with 0, Indian mathematicians also gave us the decimal system, algebra, trigonometry, and get this, the very concept of infinity. Without these absolute mathematical foundations, modern science, computing, and space travel just wouldn't exist, period.
Take Nalanda University as an example. This place housed 10,000 students and had a library so incredibly vast that when it was eventually destroyed, the manuscripts burned for 3 solid months. 3 months! And of course, we can't forget the later Mughal Empire, which built the Taj Mahal using 20,000 workers over 22 years. It's a real testament to their scale, and it remains the most visited building on Earth today.
But then, the British arrived. To put this into perspective, in the 1700s, India was producing nearly 25% of the entire world's GDP, a quarter of the global wealth. By the time Britain left in 1947, that share had completely collapsed to just 4%. It was an era defined by literal trillions of dollars extracted, and local industries were deliberately dismantled to protect British manufacturers.
And the human cost of this era was just devastating. During the engineered Bengal famine of 1943, up to 3 million people died. Tragically, this happened while India was actively exporting food to Britain during World War II. We really have to remember that this isn't some distant, ancient history. There are people alive right now who vividly remember this.
Which brings us to section 3, from 0 to the moon. Because the survival and the sudden resurgence of this country after 1947 is totally unexpected, and frankly, it's miraculous.
360 million. That's the number to keep in mind. In 1947, left with broken infrastructure, extreme mass poverty, widespread illiteracy, and still reeling from the violent and painful partition, they did something completely unprecedented. They held an election for 360 million people. Global experts were absolutely sure it would fail catastrophically, but it didn't. They defied everyone to become the world's largest democracy, and they have held that title for over 75 years now.
They practically rebuilt their economy from scratch, turning it into a global powerhouse. Let's look at Pharma. They now supply a massive 20% of the world's generic medicines. In tech, they're acting as the back end for half the world's corporations, and Indian CEOs are currently leading major global giants like Google, Microsoft, and IBM. And space? Well, we touched on this, but they reached Mars on their very first attempt, spending less than a single NASA shuttle launch, and successfully landed where no one else ever had, the moon's south pole.
Now, this comeback isn't solely economic. It is a massive cultural resurgence, too. I mean, did you know that today Bollywood actually produces more films per year and sells more tickets globally than Hollywood? Their cultural footprint has just exploded onto the global stage.
You see, India doesn't just have a culture, it is culture. We're talking 22 official languages, over 1,600 dialects, and literally every religion on Earth represented. But what's really fascinating is this crazy blending of the ancient and the bleeding-edge modern. You've got classical dance forms that have been continuously performed for 2,000 years, happening right alongside remote village street vendors who are seamlessly using advanced digital UPI payment apps that rival or honestly beat anything in the US or Europe right now.
Okay, Section 4, a billion-person experiment. Now, we need to ground our perspective a bit here and honestly address the immense modern struggles they're navigating today.
Because the modern challenges are massive, and they're painful. Delhi frequently battles some of the most severe air pollution of any major city on Earth. Millions of people still lack reliable access to electricity, clean water, and healthcare. There's this staggering income inequality where you have billionaires and extreme poverty existing literally within miles of each other. Add to this these severe impacts of climate change, like deadly heat waves and disappearing glaciers that feed billions, along with deeply complicated social, religious, and caste tensions. So, this is not a fairy tale. It is a highly complex work in progress.
But despite all of those immense challenges, consider this quote: "A civilization that has survived this long, this much, doesn't survive by accident. It survives because something in it refuses to stop." That beautifully captures the sheer, undeniable resilience of 1.4 billion people over 4,500 years of unwritten history. They gave the world its numbers and its philosophy, watched it all get taken away, and then just got right back up.
Which leaves us with one ultimate question. Can the most diverse place on Earth hold itself together and move forward? This massive billion-person experiment is still running, and its future hasn't been written yet. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a powerful new lens through which to view one of the most fascinating civilizations on our planet. Catch you next time.